Hi everyone, this is Matthew Kinslow, author to Juggling the Issues Living with Asperger's Syndrome. In this video, I took a few blocks deliberating whether or not to start making this video because I think there's a lot that needs to go into the subject that I'm about to talk about. So I'm like, let's find out. But a few blocks back, I was walking by a street and it must have been like, I don't know, the middle or end of a party. A lot of people were yelling and clapping and shouting and just, sounding like they're having a good time for them. And that just reminds me of, throughout my entire life, I never felt like I would ever be comfortable in something like that, and I still don't. And it's hard to explain, but I believe it's a characteristic of autism, especially with socialness. I mean, I am socially shy, and it's partly because loud noise makes me cringe. Loud cheering and jumping up and down and such kind of makes me cringe. I think that's the best word to summarize everything. I don't know, but in this body that I'm in, I just don't feel comfortable in such situations. Here's a perfect simulation. Try understanding every word I'm saying. You see, I go by 17th Street all the time, and I pass by these restaurants and bars and such, and people watching the sports and people just yelling and talking to one another and apparently having a great time. And for me, it technically wouldn't be a good time because of all the sensory overload that would go on. And again, I have been able to handle those situations, but me trying to communicate with one another and talking to people, I have a difficult time trying to understand them sometimes, unless they're talking loud and then I'm talking loud back, and that's kind of a bit awkward for me. I just walked by a popular restaurant back there with outdoor seating, and I just heard chatter and laughter. I don't listen to what they're saying, but I just walk by and just know that they're chattering. And again, I'm okay with having conversation with people, but there's still a lot of sensory overload because there's other people chattering. Sometimes the TV is on a little low, or maybe not so low, and it's usually a sports game. And again, something I thought of just now is when people watch sports and such, I feel like it's like everyone's crowded in a room, or if they're at the stadium, and it's like I'm just sitting there and watching. I'm not really engaging with anybody, and kind of it seems a bit lonesome. I think that's partly why I don't like sports, but at the same time I just don't like the jumping and the yelling and the clapping and all that sensory overload stuff. Again, it kind of makes me cringe in a way, if that's the right word. I believe it is. If you could just imagine being in like a semi-confined space, relatively speaking, with a lot of people, loud music, the lights are low, and people are dancing, people are very close to each other, and people have smoke all around, and it's like I just don't find any entertainment in that. And again, I've been in those situations at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. The high school youth would have dances, and sometimes it was dark and loud music and lasers and smoke and everything, and I was able to survive it. I mean, I was able to handle it, but there's just a lot of sensory overload that would happen, and that's probably partly why I'm not a fan of sports. I'm not saying that all of them are like bad or anything like that. It's just I don't understand the jumpiness and the cheers all because their team scored or even won. And well, yeah, I can understand in a way, but at the same time, it's just overbearing. It's just very loud, or at least to my ears, or our ears, people who have autism. I also can't understand how people could just get so jumpy and upset and yell at an abiotic television set just because someone made the wrong pass or catch or score on the other team or whatever. It's just, I just don't understand. And I used to like watching baseball and later basketball, but the reasons why I would probably have to make a separate video because it doesn't pertain to this video. Now I just feel like I don't have any time for sports. I'm too busy studying and all that fun stuff. I love learning. I believe that's called assiduousness. Anyway, that's the best summary right now. I don't think that I encapsulated everything. So if there's any lingering questions, I am a first-hand source and I might be able to answer from my perspective, my first-hand perspective. But in summary, parties, yelling, I mean, I could be in parties, I could be in a sea of a lot of people, but barely. And I have other YouTube videos, and I talk about it in my book, where I could hardly stand it. I mean, again, I was able to stand it, but it was very difficult to stand it. I felt like I was pressed against the wall, my head spinning one way and my brain spinning the other way, and my eyes darting back and forth, and I wasn't sure if anybody was trying to get my attention. And almost always at these parties, I would kind of be by the side walls instead of in the center. And kind of toward the end, I would get into the center, and yes, sometimes I would dance and all that, but let's not talk about that now. And just to say, I was king of the tacky prom in 2011 at my youth group, just to say. And other people with autism, they can't stand it. But again, I thought that I'd make this video. Again, let me know if there's any questions. I could try to explain things clear, or if there's any other aspects to Asperger's syndrome, autism that you want me to try and answer. I would love to try and answer. So just please comment down below, and I hope I could help.